Hey everyone, I'm Krystal and this is Empowered by Women. In August of 2021, I launched Book of Bijou, which is a line of chic and innovative jewelry storage. And in January of 2022, we expanded into what you now see as the Empowered by Women platform. I really wanted to create a centralized space where we can really put emphasis on our mission of women empowerment and community over competition. It really truly does fill my cup to be surrounded by so many of you inspiring women, and the energy that you bring to me and our platform on a daily basis is unmatched. You really all do fuel me with so much motivation to continue doing what I'm doing, and for that, I thank you. Before we jump into the episode, please be sure to follow or subscribe to us wherever you are listening, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on your favorite podcast platform. And also don't forget to share your favorite episodes with your fellow female founders so that we can continue growing our platform and furthering our mission. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this next interview with another incredible woman in entrepreneurship that I know you guys are going to absolutely love. Today we have the incredible Jane Wareham. She is a certified life coach and esteemed mindset expert, the founder of Momentum by Jane. Jane was also one of our incredible speakers that was part of the Women Thrive Summit that just happened a couple of months ago. So if you haven't checked that out, be sure to go and check out Women Thrive Media and the Women Thrive Summit. Catch her replay. She is incredible, but she really works to help you unleash the power of your mind and empower you to create a life that aligns with your core values and where your happiness and fulfillment thrive. Everything that I love. So I am so excited to dive into this conversation. But Jane, thank you so much for joining us today.
Krystal, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so happy that we met through the Women Thrive community. And thank you again for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and let you just take the mic, tell us about your background, what you're doing now with Momentum by Jane, and how all of that came together.
Absolutely. So my journey into entrepreneurship, well, it might be like a lot of entrepreneurs, to be honest, but I started my career actually in project management. So I have actually still dabble a little bit from time to time. So I've been doing that for about 17 years. And I was about 10 years into my career, hustle and grind. I'm based out of Toronto, Canada. So I was climbing that, quote unquote, corporate agency ladder, and I got really tired. I got really stressed. My health just took a turn. I was in my, late 20s, pushing 30, and I thought there has to be more. Like, why am I doing this? So, fortunately, I was in a position where I decided I was going to quit my job, sell all my things, and travel the world. I had no obligations, no responsibilities, no kids or anything holding me back. So I thought, well, this is bound to make me happy. It has to, right? How many times have, you take a trip because you want to escape your life? Well, I truly tried to create a new life in many other countries. And what's interesting is when I was away, the most surprising thing for me was after about 2.5 years, I had worked in a number of different countries, held a number of different jobs. Here I was sitting on a beach in Bali, seriously thinking I was living my best life. Like, I'm on a beach in Bali. Like, could you get any better? And I wasn't happy. And I thought that was like a real moment for me. I thought, what the heck is going on? How can I not be happy? I have been in vacation mode for 7 months. I literally beach hopped pretty much for 7 months, and I still felt unfulfilled. So in that moment, I thought, okay, I think I'm ready to go back to Toronto. I never thought I would come back. And I said, I think I'm ready to come back, but I want to do things differently. So I started to reflect back on times in my travel that really lit me up and what really brought me joy, and also times in my past career. And I realized that one of my happiest moments and times traveling was when I was living in Australia and I was doing housekeeping. I was cleaning hotel rooms. So we're talking from project management, senior project management, to cleaning hotel rooms. But the most amazing thing was at the end of the day, I was tired, but physically tired. I'm someone, anyone that knows me or now meeting me, I have a ton of energy. Like I am a very energetic person. I have a lot of energy to burn. So when I was working in an office space, I was always getting up out of my desk, moving around, talking to people. I was running health and wellness programs in my office. I was doing all these things. And I didn't realize until reflecting back that those were adding extra joy to my life. So when I moved back to Toronto, I was like, okay, things are different. I'm not going to fall back into the same trap. I opted to take on contract project management to give me the freedom to do other things. So then I got certified as a personal trainer, group fitness instructor, and I started coaching group fitness and personal training. Then I really saw some of my passion in helping others. And then I decided, quick synopsis here. So at this point, we're pushing about 2020. So I decided, you know what? If I don't go all into this health thing, because I really love it, then it's never going to become something. So I decided in January 2020 to go all into health and wellness. I completely stopped project management again. I was like, enough of that. I can always come back to it. I'm going all in. I got a job in a gym. February 2020, the gym closed because of COVID. And I thought, what did I freaking do? Like, what is going on? I thought this is what I was meant to do. And long story short, one text message later, a client of mine wanted virtual fitness. And so I said, you know what? I mean, why not? I need to make money somehow. No one knew what was going to happen with COVID. No one knew anything. I was already so familiar with Zoom. That was like a big plus for me as I came from a digital world. So a lot of trainers at the time only knew the gym space, but I was like, I can make this work. I could do a home workout. It'll be like a workout video. So I started a virtual fitness business. It started just with a couple classes, and then it turned into a couple coaches that live in different areas of Canada. So I built that business over a couple years. And during that time, I connected with a mentor, and he saw that there was a real gap in the market. He saw that there was something missing in health and wellness, and there was fitness programs, nutrition programs, but there wasn't something that tapped into your mindset about your health. And I thought, this is interesting. He's got a point. And so together, him and I created a 12-week program, and that's where I really got into mindset. So now, as a mindset expert, this is kind of where that all started, where the seed got planted. And so since then, once gym started to reopen, I decided there was something bigger for me. So I stopped the virtual classes. I got certified as a life coach. I continued to educate myself on the mind. And now here I am. So Momentum by Jane, now what it looks like is I do group coaching. So group coaching for women, also international speaking, and I have a podcast myself. So it's been amazing. And now what I really focus on, like you mentioned at the beginning here, is I really believe and know that the mind is a very powerful thing. And we can use the mind to help us, or we can use it to work against us. So I love to help women see how they can use their mind to create a life of ease and flow, to create a life that feels fun, to create a life that's happy and fulfilling, and to really show them that anything is possible.
I love so much about your journey. And I think it's really interesting that you really started diving into the mindset piece when you dove all into the health and wellness space, because I feel like the whole time you were talking, you were already on this really incredible mindset journey. But I don't know if it was just, it wasn't something that you were recognizing as a mindset journey, or it just wasn't something that you thought you were passionate about until you entered that health and wellness space. But I found that so interesting. I also think it was really interesting that, I think with your story, it's kind of similar for a lot of people where you get to that point of burnout. You were in your corporate job, right? And you were working so hard on so many of these things, and you felt like, okay, the path to happiness must be the complete opposite of what my current journey is, right? So you took all these trips and you were on vacation mode for however many months, and you still didn't find that happiness. And it's really not about just like changing everything completely. You really do need to take that time to reflect and truly discover what it is that lights you up, like you said. And I love how you took the time to realize all of those little moments in your journey up to that point of where did I find joy? You know, even though I was getting burnt out in my corporate career, there were all of these projects that I was still working on that I really loved, and you allowed yourself to go back to that. So I think that's amazing. I do want to go ahead and talk about the mindset during all of those transitional moments of your life, because I feel like that's really what stops people in their tracks, right? They're afraid to take those leaps. But it seemed like for you, you're like, nope, I'm switching to this. Nope, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And you were just like letting life happen and really allowing yourself to lean into what made you happy. So did you feel any fear during those times, or what was your mindset like during all of those transitions?
I know it does. I make it sound like, woo, I just did this and then I moved to that and I felt great, but for sure. And I am all about normalizing the fact that we all have fears, we all have doubts, all these things come in, but 100%. At the end of the day, I am a risk taker. I'm always taking, like, I'm not afraid to take a risk. I'm not afraid to take the road less traveled. You know, I'd probably take the non-path than the path typically. But I can tell you, just in my journey as an entrepreneur, so at the beginning of, let's say, you know, 2019, from the very beginning, I felt imposter syndrome when I became a certified personal trainer. I didn't feel like I fit the part. I didn't think I looked fit enough to work in the studio I worked in. There's all these fears and doubts, which is crazy because there's no reason why I didn't fit in. And I knew all the things, but I didn't have the experience. So what I would catch myself doing is I'd be like, oh, when I started my business too, you know, I had just kind of got used to being like, okay, yeah, I do this personal training group fitness thing. And now I'm a CEO. And it's what's so wild to me is you think about this CEO on a scale, like up there, project manager down here, right? You think you would be like, I'm a CEO. Like, yeah, I would literally say, oh yeah, like I have a virtual fitness business, but I've done project management for 17 years. And I would always follow it up with that. And I'd catch myself and I'm like, why am I doing this? Didn't think people would take me seriously enough. So again, like going into entrepreneurship and then again, as a life coach, it's like I had already been doing life coaching. It was a part of my personal training. It just naturally came out of me. But once I got that, and then I was changing my title it used to be life coach and wellness and mindset coach. And then I changed it to life coach and mindset expert. But it's just interesting because all of those transitions, I was like, can I do this? Is this okay? Can I say this? Do I feel right about it? So 100%, I feel the fear. I think for me, what's just been helpful is I've always been surrounded by very supportive people, and I put myself in different communities that really believed in me when I didn't necessarily believe in myself. And that's what really helped me to kind of push through the fear, because me sitting at home at my desk, working all the time, being afraid, I was not taking action, you know, like I really needed like the additional support that I got from the communities I was in really helped me push forward.
I cannot agree more, that importance of surrounding yourself with the right people. Because of course, you know, we have our family, we have our friends, but if we're being real honest, most of the time they just don't get it, right? They don't get what we're doing. They don't get the struggles that we go through. They don't understand how our mind works, because we could be from like 0 to 100. It is
Yep.
a roller coaster. So to have that support system is absolutely so incredible. Okay, I know you're all well invested into this episode so far, but I wanted to just take a quick moment to tell you all about Cast Magic, because this tool has been a lifesaver for me and the Empowered by Women podcast. And we don't like to gatekeep around here, okay? So if you also have a podcast, a YouTube channel, or really produce any kind of long form content, you really need to introduce Cast Magic into your life if you haven't already. It used to take me forever to find specific clips, create captions and titles and descriptions, and all the things that come with running a podcast, but Cast Magic has made that 10 times easier for me. And as a mom with a very busy schedule, I am all about simplifying and streamlining my to-do list. So seriously,
Save yourself some time and even multiply your usable content and download it ASAP. The link will be included in the show notes, but let's go ahead and get back to this awesome interview.
I want to go back to what you were saying about how you were already a life coach, but then you always backed it up with, but I have 17 years of project management. I have a similar kind of experience with mine, and it was a big deal for me to, when I caught myself, as a business owner, I would always say, this is what I do for my full-time job, right? Whenever anyone asked what I did, I always led off with what my full-time job was, and then I would potentially say, oh yeah, and I have a business on the side. And then I stopped myself one day and I was like, you know what? I am trying to leave my full-time job and make my business my thing, like my career, what I'm doing with my life. So I made a very conscious shift to start leading off with my business and say, I'm a business owner. This is what I do. Yeah, I still work full-time. Blah, that's not very exciting. And then that would be the follow-up. And I think just being able to own that is such a key part of your mindset in entrepreneurship.
I love that. And that works so well for you, and people listening right now, that might work for them too. And it's so true. Why not lead with what you're passionate about? Because you don't want someone to ask you about your boring job. You want someone to inquire about your business. You could probably talk their ear off because you're so passionate about it. So it's so true. It's like, whatever. I caught myself at an event recently where I was like, I'm an international speaker. And it just like came out and I was like, damn girl. I'm like, yeah, you are. And it was like literally like, it takes time, but I do things like journaling, for example. I journal every day. I write out what my goal is, and I write a lot of I am statements. And I might write the same I am, like 10 I am statements or however many over and over and over and over. And it's like, I'm speaking on global stages, right? Like things like that until I start to believe it. And so for me, it's like that type of repetition. And then as well, the social proof I get and so forth, like in all that we did with Women Thrive, right? All the monthly showcases we had. And the more that I participate in those things, the more I start to believe that, yeah, I am an international speaker. And it takes time. But when I said that, like it sounds so good. And people are like, whoa. I even told a woman today that wants to collaborate with me. And she's like, wow, I'd really love to know like how you got into this like international speaking. Like, this is what I want to do. And I think as well, something that kind of helped me to get into some of the beliefs, even in, say, speaking, for example, is I started to identify all the times I was already doing that. So I'm like, I show up on Instagram every day. People watch me from all over. Technically, I'm speaking internationally. I run corporate wellness workshops. I run workshops for organizations virtually. I've had people join from all over the world, depending on where they are within that organization. Technically, yeah, I'm speaking internationally. And so it's really interesting. Like, if I don't think we take time to actually reflect on the things we're doing with a more open lens, like take a step back, look at what you're already doing, because it's pretty awesome. And I started to actually identify like, I'm already doing this, but I didn't see it that way. I was seeing it from a really small lens.
I like that you said, it sounds good, but it doesn't really sound good when you started off with something that you're really passionate about, right? It feels good too. And you
100%.
felt that when you said it, and you're like, yeah, like I'm kind of this badass. Like I'm
Yeah.
doing all these things, and it does take a while to like recognize like, wow, I really am kind of amazing. And I think it's so important. And I try to, remind my own audience this, just take some time out of your day and celebrate all of your small wins and all of those small special things about you, because you really are incredible. And whether you want to see it or not, you are doing amazing things. And it's like what we mentioned earlier, it's about claiming it, owning it. If you do art, even on the side, you are an artist. Say it proudly, instead of leading off with something like a full-time job that might like drain you and then put you in that automatic mindset of like negativity, right? And just wanting to vent and complain. You can really shift that energy towards the things that light you up. So part of your work really is not necessarily, helping people change their circumstances, which even though that was part of your journey, right? Where you were like, no, I'm gonna do this instead. I'm gonna do this instead. You allow people to see that the power is in your mind and it's in your perception. And that's something that I love so much. So talk to us about that. Like, how can you really allow just changing your perspective to really change your life?
Yeah, so clearly, like you said, I hopped around, but at the end of the day, I wasn't happy, right? So all these shifts and changes that I made, the real growth I had was in my mind. And so the thing with mindset, and you touched on this, is mindset itself doesn't change the situation you're in. It changes the way you see and react to a situation. So this is key because, if we can gain control of our thoughts, and mindset is all thoughts, if we can gain control of our mind, if we can create more order in our mind, then we can start to put what's happening in our mind and start making it a reality. So for me, and I think with what I help with mindset shifts is, at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to belief and comes down to self-image. And for anyone that I work with, it's like, okay, who do you want to be? And we get so caught up in, how am I going to do something? Tell me what to do. Just tell me. Tell me how to make 5K months. Tell me how to get more clients. Tell me what marketing thing to do. I'm like, I can't tell you that. I don't even know, It's like, no, it's not that. It's really who. So I would say, like, okay, who do you need to be? And they're like, what? And I'm like, no, really, like, who do you want to be? Who is the boss entrepreneur that you want to be, that you dream about, that maybe you see on your social media that you want to be? Who is that person? Who? And you got to focus on tapping into, okay, if this is the type of woman I want to be, how would she be thinking? Because right now I got all these fears and doubts. No doubt that woman has fears and doubts, but they're at a whole other level. Like, they're different from what you have now. So what I try to do when I'm coaching my clients is, okay, tap into the who. Tap into the who, because when you start to tap into who you want to be, how she would be thinking, how she would be feeling. Okay, great. These are the feelings you want to have. How can we get you feeling that way now? What can we get you doing now so you start to feel that way? Because we act based off how we feel. So when you're feeling fear, when you're thinking, I can't do this, my business is going to fail, I'm never going to get the clients that I want, my program's never going to get anyone. When you're thinking that, you're feeling probably like a failure, you're feeling unmotivated, you're feeling afraid. When you have those feelings of failure, unmotivated, and afraid, what actions are you going to be taking? You're going to be crawling in a little hole. You're going to be like a little turtle in its shell. You're going to be afraid, just like we were doing. You're going to be like, oh, but actually I do project management, instead of shouting off the rooftops that I'm an amazing coach, come work with me. It's like, we're not saying those things. And so it holds us back. So really, as you tap into who you want to be, what they would be thinking, what you would be feeling, then you can start to think, okay, if I'm thinking I'm unstoppable, I know I'll be successful, or I am attracting my dream client, these types of things. Well, your feelings are going to align. If you're thinking I'm attracting my dream client with ease, oh my gosh, you're like, sweet. How are you feeling? You're feeling amazing. You might be feeling successful. You might be proud of yourself. When you're feeling that way, you're more than likely to start taking steps towards what you want. And this is all how tapping into how the mind works. So we think about something, it creates a feeling, and we act based off how we feel. So this is like a really key thing for anyone listening. Like, this is the easiest way to start to shift your mindset. Focus on who you need to be and how she would feel. And then be like, okay, if I want to feel proud, what makes me feel proud? What can I do today, right now, that would make me feel proud, or whatever it is, maybe happy? Because I'm a happiness type coach. I'm always doing things that make me happy. I do things that make me happy that have nothing to do with being an entrepreneur. Going outside and walking in nature every day. If someone looks at, my Insta stories, they're like, wow, she really loves being outside, because I'm always outside, because it actually makes me so happy. And this is how simple it is. And you touched on this before around like the small joys and finding those joys. They don't necessarily have to have anything to do with what you're offering as a business owner. it's like the more you get yourself into the energy of something good, the better you're going to feel, the better actions you're going to take. And that's going to shift your whole perspective on like around your circumstance. Because you could be living in a shitty circumstance, pardon my swearing here. You could be living in a circumstance that you're really unhappy about. So what can you do? You got to focus on what you can control. You can take yourself out of that and go do something that you love to do, right? To at least get your energy, elevate your energy, even for a moment. And then that could spark some creativity. That could spark an idea. So that's kind of like how I work with mindset.
The who part of it is so good, and that's something that I resonate with so much. You know, whenever I'm having my down times or my moments of doubt, I am always trying to put myself in the who is the woman that I am in the future, because she is bomb, she is badass, she is like ruling the world. And she doesn't let little things get to her, right? She makes big moves and does it unapologetically. And I put myself in those shoes, and that has helped me tremendously to continue moving forward. So I really love that piece. We recently did a panel for Women Thrive. I don't know if you saw it, but it was about really shifting your perspective, kind of what we're already talking about. So for you, since you weren't already a part of the panel, I'm gonna kind of pass those questions on to you.
Yeah.
For someone that is kind of stuck in this feeling of like obligation, like, yeah, all of those things sound great. I would love to make 10K months, you know, I could see myself bringing all these clients in and doing all these things to do that. But the reality of the situation is that I don't have the time, or I don't have the resources. What do you have to say to people that are kind of stuck in that mindset?
Well, we all have the same amount of time. So wherever you choose to spend it, you know, where you spend your time, where your energy goes, that's what happens, right? I know there's a better saying for that that actually rhymes, but it's true. So where you put your energy is what's going to happen. And again, I think the most important thing is we're all on our own journey. So you might see someone else that is where you want to be. Like maybe that's where you want to go, but you're not going to just get there overnight. So I think, again, tapping into, just like you said in the example, tapping into really who you want to be, then it's like, how can you take one tiny step today? Like so small, like it could literally be, for me, when it came to speaking on global stages, right? I was writing out, I speak on global stages, but I hadn't done anything about it for like I just started writing it. And so, but that planted a seed for me. And then 3 weeks later, literally of adding that to my affirmations, I said, how does someone get on global stages? Like it just one day I was like, oh, I've been writing this now for a bit. It actually kind of sunk in a little more. And I was like, okay, how would I do this? So just taking those tiny steps towards the life that you really want. So it's like, you know, take a moment, think about what you really want in life. Think about who you need to be to have that. And then what is one like tiny thing? That could be joining a community just to watch. You don't even need to participate. You know what I mean? Just to watch. Like we put so much pressure on ourselves that no, I can't join that because then there's going to be, oh, I have to answer this and I have to post and I have to do that. It's like, no, you make up your own rules. This is your life. So I would say, just remember, you're on your own journey. Take the pressure off. Like life should be good. It should be ease and flow, not hustle and grind. And so just focus on little tiny minuscule actions that you can start to take. Again, make it easy on yourself. Who do you want to be and what would she be doing? Do something that she would be doing.
Yes, I love the emphasis on tiny, because people, and I've said this so many times in all of my past episodes, but people underestimate the power of showing up, regardless of how you're showing up. Those tiny little steps, they start building, right? They compound and they start building momentum, right? Momentum by Jane. So once people are like, okay, I'm doing all these little things, I'm feeling good, I'm starting to feel my passion again. What are your top tips to really start leaning into the momentum, building that momentum? What can you share with us?
So as you start, you're showing up, you're doing things. Firstly, don't stop. So don't stop when you're not seeing anything happen. It's like you plant a seed, it doesn't grow overnight, right? So don't stop. Keep going. Also, be open to the evolution of you. I have completely evolved. I love the word evolve. I try not to even say pivot anymore because I think I'm just a constant evolution. And embrace that. Embrace your journey and keep going. And then I think it's also important, we touched on this, like on the community aspect. So let me tell you, like this year, 2024 is all about collaboration for me. And I know, like, I mean, I've dropped the scarcity, I've dropped the competition mindset, but maybe some people listening still have that. But collaboration, because let me tell you, over the last 5 days, I was under the weather. Today's the first day I'm feeling back 100%. And if it wasn't for my partner, Claire Garner, who's also in the Thrive Summit, we're partnered on a number of things this year. If it wasn't for her energy, like we had a call last night and I was still not feeling totally 100%. I was like a high vibe after. So it's like when you collaborate and surround yourself with people that are such a good energy, when you're in your dips, we all have dips. So this is going to happen. So you're going to be like flowing, your momentum's going, and then you're going to like hit a wall and you're going to think, what has happened? Oh my God, I was doing so good. Why did this happen to me? Why is this happening to me? No, this is happening for you. Anything that blocks you is for you, for your growth, for you to learn, for you to evolve. So I think when you take on that mindset, and then as well, surround yourself with people that are going to uplift you when you're feeling low, then you can always kind of keep that going. Because I can tell you, I was going at a much slower pace in the last couple of days, but I still was just taking tiny, tiny actions to continue that momentum.
I feel the exact same way, especially after these interviews, when I am just receiving that energy from the person I'm speaking with and hearing their story and allowing myself to be immersed in what they're doing. I am completely the same way. We were talking right before we started filming how, I've been under the weather for like months because of this pregnancy, but it always does like get me so excited. And then after the interview, I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do now? What's next? And I get so
Oh, yeah.
excited. So I completely understand where you're coming from. And then going back to what you said about being a part of a community and not putting so much pressure on yourself, but even just allowing yourself to be there and receive all of the thoughts and ideas and inspiration that's being shared. I love that so much. And that could not be more true. And then eventually you can build yourself up to that point where you are comfortable sharing, but at least you put yourself into the room, right? That is so
Exactly.
true.
You want
So
to put yourself in that room with the people that are where you want to be.
exactly, yes, I love that. The learner mindset, being willing to evolve, as you mentioned. And it's the only way you can do that is by surrounding yourself with those kinds of communities. Jane, you have been amazing. I feel like we can continue this on for forever.
We could.
Thank you so much for joining us, but where can everyone find you and where are you based? Well, you
So
kind of spoke on it, so go ahead and.
yeah, so I'm based in Toronto, Canada. My business is virtual, so I could be anywhere. That's the ultimate goal. And I show up on Instagram. I'm on Instagram every day, so that's the best place. Come connect with me, say hello. If you listen, tell me what you learned from this today. And I love hearing from you. And I'm always sharing all the things that I've got going on my Instagram, so that's the best place to find me.
Love it. And of course, everyone that is tuning in, all of her links will be added in the show notes so you can find her really easily. Be sure to connect with her. Clearly, she's amazing. Her energy is off the charts and you want that in your life. So thank you again, Jane, for joining us. You've been such a joy.
Thanks so much.
Another incredible interview with yet another inspiring woman in entrepreneurship. I hope you guys loved that episode just as much as I did. Before we leave off, if you yourself are also a woman entrepreneur, I would love for you to consider joining our Empowered by Women directory. We're looking for women-owned product and service-based businesses in the US to help us build the go-to place for our communities to find local women to shop with and connect with, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. All of the details can be found on www.empoweredbywomen.com/apply-directory. Of course, that's going to be linked in the show notes below, and you're also welcome to reach out to me anytime if you have any questions. But other than that, thank you again so much for joining us, and I will see you in the next episode.